This is a book review of Conan Chronicles. It's an epic collection from Marvel, came out in 2019, and this one's Volume 2. Volume 1, 2, 3 and 4. Well, I don't know about 3 yet, but the others are absolutely superb. There's a new volume, Volume 5, coming out fairly shortly. I love this series. Now, they're all based on the Dark Horse comics. So Dark Horse had the license for Conan, produced lots and lots of comics, and the ones included here are Conan 2239. And that came out in 2005 to 2007. Now, the artists, Buzik, Mignola, Truman, Nord, Ruth and Lee. The main artists. But of course, as with all these books, lots of letterers, lots of other people involved. But it's just an absolute gem of a book. So the only odd thing is the back page. A bit of Mike Mignola. And as he was the writer, obviously he did a cover or two. But that's a bit confusing. I thought when I got this, I thought, oh, okay, it's going to be some like flick through the pages. Couldn't see anything. Weird. Now, let's go through it. It's got brilliant, just got a contents page. No introduction, but it has got a huge, and I think this is 495 pages, all in colour predominantly. It's got a lovely back section with forward. It's got some script as well. I love scripts. Scripts are great because you can always look at, I love drawing myself. So you think, well, how would I lay that out? And sit down and scribble out some drawings because, you know, you've got the, you don't want to look back to what the artist did because that's going to be completely pointless. You've got this description. You think, oh, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. How I would lay it out on the pages. So it's just fascinating to look at. It's just me. Brilliant bit about Howard and Lovecraft, and also layouts as well, and lots of sketches of the elephant, because this book does include Tower of the Elephant, and I'm just going to, obviously, which was one from the classic from Barry Windsor Smith, Roy Thomas, back in the 70s. And it's a really good version in here as well. So I'm just going to, Conan 20 came out in September 2005, Tower of the Elephant, then you've got Prince of Thieves. So you've got actually quite a few issues that they had to explore the story. I always find there's a bit more depth to it. So they've really added a bit more, I think. Now, other people might turn around and say, well, you know what? I preferred the previous story. And you can knock the coffee over there. Hot chocolate, actually. Yeah, that's a good idea. With all the books around, just knock some coffee out all over them. Then you've got the Battle of Britta Vale, your Magistrate's Wife, Rat's Den, The Maze, The Tower of Tarateth, and so on and so on. Just great titles. And I'm going to go through it. Now, the artwork is superb. Starts in a tavern. Always does seem to start in a tavern. Normally a very dark, very muted. The colours are brilliant. Just absolutely right for a tavern. And, of course, Conan gets into trouble straight away, as always. So, what's to be expected? Of course, strange enough, there's a tower. Be weird if there wasn't. And there's an elephant. Again, very weird. Actually, I changed it. It was a giraffe. No, that's not going to happen. It's an elephant. And it's just... Well, of course, lots and lots of great story. Of course, there are lots of other animals involved as well. So, must admit, I wouldn't want to be in a guard around all these things, all these weird creatures popping out every 5 minutes. I think crumbs. Or the 80-foot tall spider or something trying to munch me. I don't think I'd do that job. However, the elephant's great. I love the way that they change. The artwork is slightly, obviously, changes. Now, I will have to put my, what's his name, and turn around and say that is, and I'm going to get it completely wrong, I think Michael W.M. Kaluta, the artwork that does that bit. I am the worst person in the world telling people's artwork. I really am not very good. I go, oh, that's, could be anyone. Brian Bolland. No, it's not going to be him. I think that's Kaluta. And the story's great for that one. I just love that. And actually, the next one is brilliant. And I love the artwork in this one. And I love the artwork all the way through. But this is the early years. And apparently they had to do this. They one-shot it because they didn't feel that the artist was going to get the work. Obviously, it's a lot of work to produce in a month, to produce comic. And sometimes it's nice to have some breathing space. So it's good, I think, to have this. In many ways, maybe that's what they should have done in Marvel Comics in general. There always seems to be a mad rush sometimes. You read about these things. Well, they always slot in a reprint or something. which is always slightly disappointing. Why not just do an early years of Peter Parker, what he was doing, something when his first meeting with Flash Thompson or something like that. But anyway, you've got Conan here, and this is just a superb story where he's in the wilderness, and Conan is arrogance of youth, of course, as we all. I'm certain I did stupid things. He obviously does stupid things, but he does stupid things in a real stupid way where he goes off and he's out in the middle of nowhere. And but it's good. Love this story, right? This continues the story on. And Giara. Now, Giara is a great character. I must admit, I do. And actually, there's another character here that I'm not certain. Now, maybe she turns up later in the story. Vaguely, I can't remember. This was one of the things that's slightly annoying in this book. Occasionally there was bits of things I thought, what happened to X, Y, Z? Maybe they're in the next story. Maybe they're obviously 5 or 10 stories later on. But I just didn't feel that, that it obviously revealed always what happened. But maybe it's me. Maybe I just missed it. Maybe if I went back to reread this book, I would then have a different. One thing I do love about this, and it's a very nice touch, and I don't know if they continued this all the way through the series, maybe they did. You got this prince who's reading, obviously, what's happened in the past, reading the chronicles, obviously these chronicles, and you've got this vizier, as they call it, a vizier, and of course he's a shifty guy. He's obviously doing this and doing that. He's manipulating. I mean, I'm honest, I don't know how that storyline's going to end. But I wouldn't trust that guy as far as I could throw him. But then again, it's still a great sequence where you've just got a framing thing of him sort of thinking what's happening in this storyline, as if we're reading back actual events. Lots of obviously great conflicts there, and lots and lots of head-lopping violence, etc. I love this bit. Now, this bit, the Storyteller. Now, I mean, that gets the clue straight away with the title, Storyteller. And you've got to, as soon as I saw the picture, and I think if you know anything about R.E. Howard, obvious clue, the story. And it's even brilliant, even subtle touches here, which I love. The foothills of the dry, dusty southwest of. Yeah, but it's just great. Absolutely, he would be a hero. I just really genuinely loved this story. It's just a beautiful sort of. Again, it doesn't fit in any of the rest of the stories, so it's just slotted into this. Again, more head lopping. You've got to have head lopping in Conan. They didn't. I don't think they really did that in the original Marvels. Maybe even in the black and white ones, there wasn't so much. They really don't seem to worry about that kind of thing. But anyway, just a really wonderful story. If you read of any of the stories in this, Storyteller is the one I definitely think you will love. Then go through some more stories, more serpents, snakes, horrible frogs. Frogs turn up a lot as well. There's a lot of creatures in this. Lots of Conan with his sword again, battling thing, and it's just great. There's also quite a bit of, there's little odd moments of, dare I say it, romance. There is a sort of, obviously, love between, it's obviously this, there's a woman that he fancies early on. This is in the early Conan. So there's some just really, really nice bit. And of course, happens again, always the way. There's a father, and I'm not going to say any more than that. So that's just great. You've got, again, this woman turns up, and not this character, who I'm not certain the storyline actually finishes, not in this book anyway, maybe. The colours all the way through this are just superb. I just love the layout, the way it reads as well. It's just really, really beautifully told. And it is violent, of course. I mean, it's Conan. You wouldn't expect otherwise. He's not going to be sitting down having a cup of tea and chatting and reading a book anywhere in this, and he doesn't. But it's brilliant. I love the story here. There's another story which I think is just great. and sort of another in-between story that doesn't really fit in with the rest of it, with pics. So he's got this, but it's a nice little tale. I love the boat. The boat, just brilliant, just beautiful. The panels, the way the panels are laid out, just floating across the sea. I love that sort of stuff. Just beautiful. And more brutal, more poisoning, more magic, more all the way through it. It's just what you expect from Conan. If you don't get deserted cities, magic, sorcerers, dubious kings, kings that betray people, kings that are, and so on and so on and so on. And of course, Conan at the centre with his, obviously his women, and it's just, however, weirdly, I don't know why, but I somehow, for some weird reason, skipped this last story, and only this morning just quickly read. I thought, hang on, I read, and then looked at it. I think I didn't read that one. That's weird. Just completely skipped over it. And yet, I'm probably because I looked at it, I thought, oh, I'm not so keen on the artwork. Don't know. It looked a bit grim. What's that? And sometimes when I've had that sort of, this one, artist and colorist. This was Raphael Kayan. And I thought, no, and I just. Weird. However, it was very unfair because actually it is actually very well done. It's a lovely story where you've got two characters and just how the world goes in together. Brutal. Conan looks the most brutal I think I've ever seen him. Near enough to me, it happens to look like he's drawn like the Hulk. And when I look at that, I thought the Hulk. You couldn't near enough imagine the Hulk. It's just me. There's some really quite, what's his name, violent scenes in this. I mean, there's got some lots of animals and insects and things, and it's very dark. Actually, quite different from some of the other things. You go through the rest of the story, even though it's muted, the colours, it's a very sort of muted colour scheme. So some tense reds, of course, lots of flame. But it's that last one was very, very dark. It finishes off with some variant covers. And then you got some brilliant, lovely sketches and drawings, obviously, of this one, the horses. I love the horses here. Fascinating. Actually, beautifully painted drawings there. Whatever. I'm not even going to say what he used because I'm really hopeless saying what he used. It looks like watercolours to me, but acrylics maybe. I don't know. It's terrible. That's what I work in all the time. And I must admit, when it comes to it, when I look at other people's art, I could turn around and say that's oil or that's what's his name. I'll be completely wrong. I would be a hopeless art historian. I really would. Anyway, some layouts here. I'll be saying, oh, that was done by Leonardo. Everyone will be looking, no, that's Raphael. That wasn't Leonardo. Looks like Leonardo. Oh, Michelangelo, I don't know. Anyway, I think it's, I love this script. Love scripts. I wish every book would include one script at the back because it's just fascinating to read how this is the initial part. This is the source. Well, obviously the source is the original R.E. Howard stories in most cases, other than ones that you've obviously come out of the thin air from one line. One line. Conan walked into a room. Wow, there's a story there. Conan walked into a room. Well, he walked into a room and there was a magician. There's always a magician. And he falls in love with the magician's daughter. But anyway, I just love Conan stories. Conan Chronicles, this is a brilliant collection. I love the omnibus editions because I've got the omnibus editions behind me. And I just enjoy Conan stories. But I love lots of stories. But Conan's great. So volume 2, brilliant. Totally recommended. Definitely a must purchase.